Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise today to honor Dr. Mary Edwards Walker for Women's History Month. Dr. Walker was born on November 26, 1832 in Oswego, New York. She was the fifth-born child to Alva and Vesta Walker. After graduating high school, Dr. Walker attended Valley Seminary in Fulton, New York, where she studied to become a teacher. However, this was not her calling. What she wanted to was become a doctor, but medical school was expensive, so she worked until she was able to save up enough money to pay for it herself. She attended Syracuse Medical College and became the second woman to receive her medical degree from the college in 1855. After graduating, Dr. Walker and her husband, who was also a doctor, started a private medical practice. However, the couple was forced to shut the doors as the public refused to see a female doctor. In 1861, shortly after closing her medical practice, Dr. Walker, then 29, journeyed to Washington, D.C. and applied to be appointed as an Army surgeon, much to the shock of the medical department, which rejected her offer with considerable verbosity. She was offered an unpaid volunteer position as a nurse and later as a volunteer surgeon. After the Battle of Chickamauga in September 1863, and after hearing many stories told of her bravery under fire, Major General George Thomas appointed Dr. Walker as assistant surgeon in the Army of the Cumberland, becoming the first female U.S. Army surgeon. Dr. Walker was the embodiment of a true field medic. What is common practice now for medics to render assistance to all wounded persons on the battlefield was not common practice during the Civil War, except from Dr. Walker. In April 1864, having remained behind after a battle to assist wounded troops upon a Union retirement, and shortly after assisting a Confederate doctor with an amputation, Dr. Walker was captured by the Confederate military and arrested for spying. After 4 months of brutality in a Confederate prison, Dr. Walker was released in a prisoner exchange and went to work at the Louisville Women's Prison Hospital and an orphan asylum in Clarksville, Tennessee. When the war ended, Dr. Walker was given a disability pension for muscular atrophy, which she suffered after her time as a prisoner of war. Based on recommendations from her generals, President Andrew Johnson signed a bill on November 11, 1865, to present Dr. Walker with the Medal of Honor for meritorious service. Dr. Walker was the first woman, and to this day the only woman, to ever be awarded the Medal of Honor. The citation reads as follows, and I'll ask that you stand up if you're able to. The President of the United States, in the name of Congress, takes pleasure in presenting the Medal of Honor to Assistant Surgeon Mary Edwards Walker, United States civilian, for extraordinary heroism as a contract surgeon to the Union forces, whereas it appears from official reports that Dr. Mary E. Walker, a graduate of medicine, has rendered valuable service to the government, and her efforts have been earnest and untiring in a variety of ways, and that she was assigned to duty and served as assistant surgeon in charge of female prisoners at Louisville, Kentucky, upon the recommendation of Major Generals Sherman and Thomas, and faithfully served as a contract surgeon in the service of the United States, and has devoted herself with much patriotic zeal to the sick and wounded soldiers both in the field and hospitals, to the detriment of her own health, and has also endured hardships as prisoner of war for 4 months in a southern prison while acting as a contract surgeon. And whereas by reason of her not being a commissioned officer in the military service, a brevet or honorary rank cannot, under existing laws, be conferred upon her. And whereas, in the opinion of the President, an honorable recognition of her service and suffering should be made, it is ordered that a testimony thereof shall be hereby made and given to the said Dr. Mary E. Walker, and that the usual Medal of Honor for meritorious service be given to her, given under my hand in the city of Washington, D.C., this 11th day of November, 1865. Signed, Andrew Johnson, President. Ladies and gentlemen, let us never forget the sacrifices women have made for this country. And I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to recognize 2 of our own females in this room today. One of those being House Republican photographer and current Air National Guard Master Sergeant Shelley Stark, and my fellow Marine, Representative Stephanie Kifowitz.